If you ever wanted to feel like a superhuman, to look like a superhuman, to fuck like a superhuman, this video will change your life forever. Because in this video I will break down my entire protocol to look like this, to feel amazing 24/7, to be supercharged while keeping my health better than 90% of the population. Because it's possible. People think that you either have to choose, you either have to take chemicals to be supercharged, but then you will live until 50, which is complete bullshit if you know what you are doing. Obviously, if you want to be 120 kilos of muscle and be a professional bodybuilder, that will take years of your life. But if you look at how I look, you can achieve that with doses that are not gonna destroy your life. And I will show you all the supplements that I'm using to keep my hair, to keep my skin looking young, to just feel amazing, to not have any bullshit side effects like acne, hair loss, whatever. So I will show you my full protocol for that. And I'm probably one of the only people on the internet that will show their protocol for free because I spent months, if not years, optimizing all of this. I mean, I experimented with this for months, but I spent years before that doing research on everything. And I'm giving you everything for free. I'm not gonna sell you any course or anything like that. So I will just show you my full protocol in this video. So the first thing that we will start here is the basics. So the testosterone, I'm taking 350 milligrams a week of testosterone and entate with every other day pins. So this is really the key here. You can't be injecting once a week, twice a week. You can't be doing that if you want to avoid the side effects, because most of the side effects like acne, hair loss, bloat, feeling emotional, whatever, a bunch of those side effects, people mistake it for estrogen, but often it's just hormone imbalances. Because if you remember in puberty, when you would get acne, that was usually caused by hormone imbalances. So you need to have your levels stable, and you will achieve that by pinning every other day, because half-life of testosterone entate is like 4 or 5 days. So if you pin every other day, the levels are going to be pretty stable. You can pin every day as well, but for me, every other day works pretty well. But I would not recommend to pin once a week, twice a week. I would not recommend that. The next thing here is trenbolone acetate. So I was originally planning to take 10 milligrams a day, but when I calculated, I think I'm actually pinning a little bit more because I leave some air when I'm pinning. I leave some air on top of the needle, so I push everything out of the needle with that air, and that pushes a little bit more than 0.1 milliliter each day, so it's probably more closer to 100 milligrams a week. And I'm pinning this daily. So this is the way to avoid most of the side effects with tren, because people are so stupid. They use a huge dose and they pin, let's say, 100 milligrams every other day, which is ridiculous. But if you pin 10 milligrams per day, or in my case, like 15 or something, you will avoid most of the side effects. The only side effect I haven't been able to avoid with tren is worse sleep. I sleep pretty bad, but other than that, I avoided all the other side effects. Like, I'm not losing my hair, I'm not like having any acne or aggression or anything like that, which is amazing. The next thing here is really important, which is finasteride. So I'm taking finasteride to not go bald from testosterone. Finasteride is not going to save you from tren, but if you take testosterone, which most people plan to take because testosterone is the best thing ever, finasteride is key to not lose your hair, because testosterone converts to dihydrotestosterone via 5-alpha reductase enzyme. And this is amazing in puberty, because in puberty, high DHT will cause your dick to grow more. You will get a beard, you will get body hair, which is great. But after puberty, DHT does not have that much function anymore. Your dick is not going to grow more if you have high DHT after puberty. So in that case, finasteride is really useful to keep your DHT in range. So currently my DHT is probably the same level as it was when I was natural, because finasteride is lowering it by like 70%. So while I have testosterone that's like 5 times as much as when I was natural, my DHT is probably pretty close to when I was natural, which is great for keeping my hair, because DHT is awful for the hair. DHT completely destroys the hair follicles that are on top of your head. So when you see people going bald here and losing generally the hair here, they keep the hair on the sides, because the hair on the sides is not sensitive to DHT, but the hair on the top is. And you will go bald probably if you don't take finasteride and take high doses of testosterone. On a small dose of testosterone, like 200 milligrams a week, you probably won't be losing any hair, but this depends highly on your genetics. There is people who blast grams of testosterone without finasteride, they don't go bald, but there is people who go bald naturally at 25. So this completely depends on your genetics, and I would recommend you to just look at your father, your grandfather, and see if they are bald, because your genetics is the highest like factor for going bald. But if you see your family is going bald, then you need to like look out for this kind of stuff and take finasteride. The next thing on the list is exemestane. So this is aromacin. This is for lowering estrogen. So I take only 12.5 milligrams twice a week. So this is half a pill twice a week. So 1 pill per week, which is a really low dose, just to keep my estrogen on the higher end, but still not too high to get any kind of side effects from it. So it's important to not crush your estrogen. This happened for me once accidentally. I crushed my estrogen too low. You feel like shit. You feel depressed. You feel like life has no meaning. Your shoulders start to hurt. Your knees start to hurt. It's really bad. So I would not recommend you to just crush your estrogen for fun. I recommend you to just use as needed. So use some kind of arimidex aromazine as needed. When you feel that you have more emotions, night sweats, some water retention from high estrogen, then you can deploy some of this to keep the estrogen on the higher end of the reference range to avoid the side effects, but to get the benefits from estrogen like cardioprotectivity, neuroprotectivity, and lipid protectivity, and many other things, as well as just not having any kind of shoulder pain stuff, because estrogen is amazing for connective tissue and for shoulders, knees, and stuff like that. The next thing here, we will go more into, I think retatrutide is next. Yeah. So I take 1 milligram reta per week just to keep the cravings on the lower end, because I had issues with like just craving food all the time, especially when you take gear, when you take testosterone, especially when you take tren, your appetite will skyrocket, which could lead to just eating too much and like your belly could grow. So it's like a really easy choice to just take a little bit of retatrutide. In my opinion, retatrutide is one of those things that like you can't really go wrong with if you take a small dose, like 1 milligram a week, because it's a small enough dose that you will still be eating, so you won't be getting those crazy side effects like you don't eat at all, so you feel like shit. Like you will still be eating, but you will be eating a lot less, and it completely destroys the cravings in your brain. Like you won't be craving sweets and bullshit nearly as much as when you don't take retatrutide. So I think it's a really good thing. Even if you are fully natural, you could take retatrutide and still feel pretty good and lose some fat. But you need to really lock in with the gym to not lose any muscle. Then let's move on to the supplements, because I think I'm done with the chemicals. These are the chemicals that are considered not natural, I would say, because they impact your hormones. But now we will get more into the supplements that are considered natural, but that are really important in this protocol to keep my health in check. The first thing here is omega-3, and it's a pretty high dose. So EPA plus DHA, 2.4 grams per day. So now if you look at an average omega-3 supplement, it has about 300 milligrams of EPA plus DHA, which is bullshit. That will not do anything, because just a can of sardines, I have sardines here, just a can of sardines has like a gram. So if you need to take 3 or 4 pills to just get as much omega-3 as one small can of sardines, that means the supplement is pure bullshit. So instead of doing that, you need to buy the supplement that has a lot of EPA and DHA. In my case, I have the Swiss 4X Strength Ulti Boost, whatever it's called. And that one I take 2 pills per day for 2,400 milligrams EPA plus DHA. So when you get an omega-3 supplement, just turn it around and look at the EPA plus DHA numbers, because whatever it says on front is completely useless. Just turn it around and see EPA plus DHA. It has to be a lot. In my case, 2,400 milligrams a day has worked pretty well. You could increase it to 4 or 5 grams if you really want, but at that point, like, you are getting diminishing returns. But I found the 2.4 grams to be amazing, and this has many benefits. Like, this is really good for your cholesterol, it's good for your blood flow, and good for your brain. Like, generally, so many benefits, so there is no reason to not take it, because it doesn't really have any downside unless you are having surgery tomorrow and omega-3 makes your blood flow so smooth that your blood is harder to clot, which could cause, like, if you are bleeding often, like, maybe it's gonna take longer for you to stop bleeding. So that's one thing to keep in mind, but you are probably not bleeding every day, so it's probably fine. And it's good to have that protection against blood clots when you are taking steroids, because your blood is probably gonna be a little bit thicker. The next thing here is citrus bergamot phytosome, 1,000 milligrams a day. So citrus bergamot supplements are often bullshit, because it's a herb, so they sometimes don't check how much actual citrus bergamot, like, active ingredient is inside. So you could be getting a great supplement or a shit supplement without really knowing. So the one that I'm getting is from California Gold Nutrition. It's on iHerb, and this citrus bergamot phytosome, it's like actually 1,000 milligrams, so it's really expensive. This supplement is really expensive, but it's amazing. It can lower your LDL, increase your HDL. One of the best supplements for cholesterol on the market. It has like it's using some method Vasgard to measure that it actually has this amount inside, and it's not some bullshit powder, but it actually includes 1,000 milligrams per 2 pills. But it's not cheap. It's probably at least like $30 a month or $50 a month, maybe not 50, but $30 a month at least to run this, only this supplement. The next thing here is dehydroberberine. This is a great supplement for glucose management because dehydroberberine can help your blood shuttle the glucose like into the cells, so it can increase insulin sensitivity, which is amazing, especially when you eat more on gear. If you are eating more carbs, which you probably will if you take steroids, then you should take this supplement to help you keep the insulin sensitivity while eating a lot more carbs. Then the next thing here is astaxanthin, really strong antioxidant. So this is helping me keep my skin looking young, not have any kind of wrinkles or old looking skin, because most people that look old from taking steroids, it's from the oxidative stress. Steroids can increase oxidative stress a lot. And as you know, not even steroids, like if you know people that are really stressed out at work, even at school, even like, you know, those people when they make a joke, like they go to some hard university for like electrical engineering, and after university they look like they aged 10 years from stress. That's not a joke. Like stress actually ages you, and in this case it's oxidative stress. It's the free radicals, it's that kind of bullshit like the inflammation, whatever. And when you take antioxidants like astaxanthin, that's going to help against the oxidative stress, which is really important for keeping you looking young and do not have any damage from the oxidative stress that could be higher from taking steroids. The next thing here is NAC. One of the best supplements on this list. Like if you don't have the money to take like all of these 20-30 supplements I'm going to show you, take NAC. This is like the GOAT as antioxidant because NAC is like a building block for glutathione in your liver, and glutathione is the strongest antioxidant that you have in your body, that we all naturally have. And by taking NAC, you will increase like the amount that you have of glutathione, and it's like a really, really strong antioxidant. It's amazing for your liver, against oxidative stress, against quick aging, even can help with hair loss because some hair loss can be caused by high oxidative stress. Even can help against like trembolone, making you stupid by increasing the oxidative stress in the brain. NAC is amazing. It's like a GOAT in this protocol, probably one of the things that's been helping me the most to keep me looking young, to keep me looking normal. And yeah, it's the GOAT here. But also keep in mind when you buy NAC, you should buy the one that has, I believe, selenium added, because the one that you take that doesn't have selenium, NAC can apparently like drain your selenium or something like that. So I'm using some that's from Now Foods, I believe, on iHerb. Most of these supplements I buy on iHerb because that's what I found to be the cheapest. The next thing is P5P. This is for lowering prolactin. So P5P is active version of vitamin B6, and it's been proven to lower prolactin by a pretty considerable amount, maybe 20-30% in studies. And I take this because even when I was natural, my prolactin was slightly high, if you watched my video for my blood work. And P5P is amazing. I noticed it to definitely lower my prolactin in terms of like, the main thing that the main side effect of prolactin is when you fuck, you can even last too long. Like you can't really finish, like you can last for an hour. And this sounds cool sometimes, but sometimes it's really like it gets boring. Like you get tired and you just don't want to fuck anymore. And you can't really do rounds. Like you can't do the second or third round because prolactin is the thing that gets released, that should get released after you finish to like stop you from immediately going again. And when prolactin is high, generally like even your erections could be softer and stuff. So prolactin is a pretty shitty hormone in general. So P5P is a great supplement to take to keep your prolactin in check. And I'm taking a pretty high dose, 200 milligrams a day, but I think if you take a smaller dose than that, it doesn't really do much. The next thing here is apple cider vinegar. This is an amazing supplement for digestion, because people will say like maybe it's good for fat loss or some bullshit like that. That's complete bullshit. But the huge benefit it has is that it's good against acid reflux. So if you ever have the issue to like You eat a huge meal, and then you get acid reflux later. Like your acid is coming up your throat, you get the heartburn, whatever. That happens because your stomach acid is too weak. Because when you eat a huge amount of food, especially if it's a lot of carbs, especially if it's like a lot of vegetable or some fiber or some bullshit that's like hard to process in the stomach, that's gonna weaken your stomach acid, which will then cause your stomach to not close the gate that's between the stomach and the esophagus. And when that gate is not closed, the acid can come up. The acid needs to be strong for that gate on the opening of the stomach to be closed. But when the acid is not strong enough because you ate a huge meal or whatever, then the gate can remain open and the acid can come up and hurt you. So this supplement is amazing because it strengthens your stomach acid and prevents that from happening. So it's the best to take with like a huge meal to help your stomach acid remain strong despite the huge meal that would weaken it probably. So I love this supplement. If you don't have acid reflux, you don't really have to take it, but I know a lot of people who do have acid reflux, and this is a great supplement for that. You don't have to be taking steroids to take this. Some people are saying you can drink apple cider vinegar, but that destroys your teeth because it's such a strong acid, and teeth don't like acids. It literally dissolves your teeth because if you know, like if you put a boiled egg into apple cider vinegar, it's gonna completely melt away the shell. Like if you take the boiled egg after putting it in vinegar, the shell is gonna be so weak because it's like starts dissolving. So really keep that in mind. So I don't recommend drinking apple cider vinegar because of the teeth. You would damage them. But if you take the supplement, then it's fine. Let's see what's the next thing here. I'll start slowly moving this. Oh yeah, magnesium glycinate is probably number one thing on this list. If you are like natural, if you are not taking anything, you need to take magnesium at a high dose. So people are taking 100, 200 milligrams a day, which is bullshit. That doesn't really do much. Because from what I noticed, not many foods have a lot of magnesium. So if you need sodium, if you need potassium, if you need calcium, those three electrolytes are in basically everything. Like any kind of milk product or dairy, like protein shake, like any of those things have calcium. Potassium and sodium are in mostly anything, like whatever you eat, like even meat or whatever, like all of those things will usually have sodium, potassium. Like I just drink protein shakes, like protein chocolate milk, this thing I have behind me here, protein chocolate milks, and those things have a ton of calcium, a ton of potassium. Then I just like put salt on my food that has a lot of sodium. But the thing that is always missing in a diet is magnesium. Nothing really has magnesium except like pumpkin seed or some bullshit like that. So you need the magnesium supplement at a high dose. I think I have the magnesium somewhere here, yeah. So this is magnesium bisglycinate. And people say that you can take this before sleep, which is true, but I didn't really notice that it really helps with sleep in any kind of way. I think you can take it at any time of the day. And I think 600 milligrams a day is a pretty good dose that you can take. You can take 400, you can take 800. 600 is a pretty good dose for me because I take 300 with a meal and then 300 before sleeping. And it's been working pretty well for me. Magnesium has a million benefits. I don't really need to talk about it, but some of the benefits can include just relaxing your muscles, preventing the muscle cramps, the muscle twitches, especially if you are working out. Really important, can help with the recovery. You really want to have your electrolytes balanced as well. And is it really like there is so many other things that I can mention? It can even lower your blood pressure because, as I was explaining in my previous video about my blood work, magnesium and potassium are the things that help your muscles, blood vessels, and everything relax, and the sodium and calcium are the ones that force them to like contract. So you want more magnesium if you want to be more relaxed in general. So magnesium is amazing. Don't really have to go much deeper into that. The next thing here is red yeast rice. So this supplement I don't really recommend unless you are taking steroids because I don't really see the point of like lowering cholesterol, LDL, if you are just natural. But if you are taking steroids, it's a pretty good supplement because steroids will usually skyrocket your LDL and lower your HDL. So in that case, it's pretty good to take the red yeast rice plus CoQ10 supplement. You want the CoQ10 to also be added into the red yeast rice because red yeast rice supplement can drain your CoQ10 in your body. So red yeast rice, great supplement for lowering LDL, probably one of the best because it has the same chemical structure. Like it has this thing that is chemically the same as the statins that doctors prescribe for lowering LDL, but this is a natural supplement, so it's better than just taking some medication that can have side effects, because usually statins have pretty bad side effects as like muscle pain and stuff like that. But red yeast rice, I haven't noticed any side effect from it, so I think it's pretty good. The next thing here is Tutka. This is the most goated supplement if you are taking any oral steroids. I'm not, but I was taking Tutka just because I thought Chen could be liver toxic, but blood work proved it's not. So that's great. You can also be taking Tutka if you are taking stuff like, generally that's maybe like you are drinking alcohol, or maybe you are taking Accutane, stuff that is toxic for your liver. Tutka can help. Tutka can help with like the bile acid flow, some of those things. So it's a great supplement. There is no reason not to take it if you are, especially if you are taking oral steroids, it's like a must. This is a pretty low dose, 250 milligrams a day, because I'm not taking any oral steroids. But if you are taking Anavar or anything like that, you should be taking at least like 500 milligrams Tutka a day, maybe even 1,000 to help your liver, because those oral steroids and other things can destroy that bile acid flow from the liver or whatever. So Tutka is the best supplement for the liver if you are taking oral steroids. If not, NAC is usually enough for the liver detoxification. The next thing here is acetyl L-carnitine. Honestly, I don't really know what does this do, but I was seeing that I could add this when I'm taking Chen for some neuroprotection, because acetyl L-carnitine is the version that can cross the blood-brain barrier and go into the brain, and it can help with like focus and some things. So I thought, why not? I can add this to my brain protection stack on Chen. The next thing here, same story. Magnesium L-threonate is the version of magnesium that can cross the blood-brain barrier and go into your brain. This is really important to take when taking Chen, because Chen also crosses the blood-brain barrier, and Chen can increase like the some of the calcium channel signaling in the brain, and can literally like start frying your brain cells from all the calcium that's firing. And magnesium is the opposite of calcium in terms of electrolytes. So if you put the magnesium into the brain as well, it can help battle this calcium war that's going on in the brain. So it's a really good supplement to add. It's not cheap at all, but it's a good supplement to add if you are taking Chen. It's not going to completely like prevent any neurotoxicity, but it's definitely going to help, especially if it's a microdose, because at this dose Chen is not going to do anything crazy. It's not a gram or anything like that to like fry my brain, but at this slight dose of Chen, you can definitely battle it with some of these supplements like magnesium L-threonate, acetyl L-carnitine, NAC, and stuff like that. The next thing here is pregnenolone. This is a great thing to take if you are taking TRT in general, if you are taking any kind of hormones that will shut down your natural production. Sometimes your neurosteroids can also be down-regulated, like pregnenolone, DHEA, stuff like that. I'm also planning to add DHEA in future if I want. Pregnenolone is just a neurosteroid that makes you feel good. And in case this is down-regulated from taking like hormones externally, then you can just take pregnenolone as a supplement. Usually this is just like given by doctors to like old women after menopause to just make them feel better, because pregnenolone really does make you feel good, because it converts into allopregnenolone, which is important for your mood. So yeah, it's a pretty good supplement to have in your stack. Let me see. The next thing here is trazodone. So I added this recently when taking Chen, because Chen destroys sleep. So trazodone is there to help with sleep. Trazodone is, in my opinion, there is only 2 sleep things that I would recommend people to take that are not complete poison and bullshit. So usually, you will hear people taking benzodiazepines. I don't know how to even pronounce it, but it's the things like lorazepam. So those things are awful. Those things are awful. So when you hear someone taking like Xanax or something like that, those things destroy your sleep, because people think like, oh, whatever, like it makes you sleep. It just knocks you out, same way as alcohol does. Like it just knocks you out, you black out, but that does not mean that you got high quality sleep. So I do not recommend. 95% of sleep medications are pure poison bullshit, and they are gonna just ruin your life, because they will make you dependent, and they will not improve your sleep quality. They will just knock you out. And a lot of those things will also just increase your light sleep, and they will destroy your deep sleep, destroy your REM sleep. So don't take, like 95% of sleep medications are pure bullshit. Don't do that. But 2 that are amazing from my own research are lemborexant, because that one just works on the orexin receptor, because orexin is something in your brain that is like an on-off switch for your wakefulness. So if you take lemborexant to block the orexin 1 and 2, whatever, then you will just not feel awake. You will just feel sleepy, whatever. But trazodone works in a few different ways. At a really high dose, like 200, 300 milligrams, it can be used as an antidepressant because it can act on serotonin. But at a very low dose, like 50 milligrams a day, it's used for sleep because it doesn't really act on serotonin. What it does act is alpha adrenergic receptors. So it kind of blocks adrenaline, which is great for sleeping. And it also acts on, let me remember, there is like two more ways that it acts. I need to remember because I'm trying to like explain so many things in this video. But it can also, let me pause until I remember what it is. Oh yeah, I remembered. Also one is histamine 1, H1 receptor. So that's also the second way it works. And there is another pathway, it's like some H3, H5, whatever, like some serotonin pathway as well. But I think the strongest pathway out of those three for sleep is definitely blocking the adrenaline because especially on gear, you just feel supercharged all the time. You have more adrenaline. So if you take this, it definitely does make you feel more normal and ready to sleep. Because when you don't take anything like trazodone and you are taking testosterone, chambolone, all of these androgens, you feel so supercharged, you never feel sleepy. Never. Like 24/7, you just feel like you are ready for the day. You can do anything at any time. You never feel sleepy, which kind of feels great. But if you just don't sleep, then you start like functioning worse. Like your brain starts being more slow and stuff like that. Your recovery is not the best. So you definitely do need to sleep still on gear. And to make that easier, trazodone is a great option. Because lemborexant, I don't really know how to find. I might try to find that in future, but trazodone is a great option because it does not cause any kind of dependence. You can just not take it if you don't want. And it does not ruin your sleep quality. It makes your sleep deeper. It improves your deep non-REM sleep, and it improves your like REM sleep quality, whatever. It's amazing for sleep quality, preserves your sleep quality, but that also means it's not really strong. It's not gonna knock you out. Like if you have issues with falling asleep, it's gonna help a little bit. It's not gonna like suddenly fix your sleep from zero. So that's the thing with a lot of these things. Like when it's not extreme, like those bullshit sleep medications that just knock you out and destroy your sleep quality, this is not nearly as strong as that. It's not gonna knock you out, but it's gonna preserve your sleep quality, it's gonna improve it. So it's like a great supplement add-on. Like obviously you need a prescription from a doctor for this, but it's pretty easy to get. Like you just tell them like you can't sleep, whatever. It's not that hard. But it's a great thing because it doesn't cause any dependence, doesn't have any side effects, which is great. The next things here, tadalafil, Cialis, 5 milligrams a day. So everyone should be taking this. Like even if someone is 50 years old, doesn't take any chemicals, whatever, everyone should be taking tadalafil at 5 milligrams a day. It's a low dose. At this dose, it improves your blood flow, lowers your blood pressure a little bit, improves your pumps in the gym, your nitric oxide, whatever. Many other benefits. There hasn't been like that much research to prove some of the benefits that are potential, like increasing your androgen receptor sensitivity or something like that, like potentially increasing your gains. Hasn't been much research done on that. But even just the benefits of increased blood flow and just better pumps in the gym, and obviously your performance in bed becomes like a porn star, which is amazing. It's amazing. I can definitely recommend it. The next thing here is cardarine. People are so scared of cardarine because in some study it like made rats get cancer after giving it to rats that lived 3 years. You gave them a high, ultra high dose for 2 years. So similar to if you took like 100 milligrams or 300 milligrams a day for 50 years. So it was some ridiculous dose and they got cancer or whatever. So people are really scared of this, but in actual real life, millions of people are taking this. Nobody's getting cancer from it. So it's a great supplement to increase your endurance and to improve your cholesterol. So those two are the main benefits because it acts on the PPAR delta, and that forces your body to use more fatty acids for energy than glucose, which can be amazing for insulin sensitivity as well. I noticed when I was using this first time that my blood sugar dropped from like 80 something to in the 60, which is great. So it's a great supplement in my opinion. People consider it as like a SARM, but it's not really a SARM, it's more like a supplement. Let's go further. Vitamin C. So this might be the only thing on this list that I don't really follow on because I do have the powder from China of vitamin C, but I really forget to take it because I don't really care. But vitamin C is a great antioxidant, especially at 1,000 milligrams. If you take it every day, it's a really good antioxidant. But keep in mind, if you just overdo it and take too much, vitamin C can turn into oxalates, and oxalates are the bad things from the vegetables that can actually cause kidney stones. So you don't want to like overdo it too much. But at a dose like 1,000 milligrams every other day, in this case that I wrote here, which is probably the average how much I take it, it's a great antioxidant. It's a really, really strong antioxidant. So that's amazing against like the things that I was already telling you about, like how your skin looks and stuff like that. The next thing here is kelp iodine. I'm taking 150 micrograms a day of this. This is just iodine. I just found it like a nice addition because that could help your thyroid with producing the thyroid hormone for increasing your metabolism. So it's a solid supplement to take when you like, because in my case I take some potassium salt and I'm not sure if that salt even has iodine added in. Usually most salts do have iodine already added, but since I'm like always using some kind of sauce, like fish sauce instead of salt, that doesn't really have any iodine in it, I like to take this supplement to have the peace of mind that I'm getting enough iodine in, because I don't want to be deficient in that. The next thing here is taurine, 5 grams a day. This is such a good supplement. Like this is so underrated because when I was getting some muscle cramps and twitches, Gemini told me to just take taurine, and I was like, whatever, like what the hell, why would I even take taurine? And I just ordered a kilogram of taurine from China for like $5. And it's actually insane. It literally solved my muscle cramps because taurine is like the goat. It's like similar to magnesium in some ways, like how it can relax you and like relax your muscles and stuff. So it's such an amazing supplement. If you are working out, going to the gym, doing hard workouts, taurine is the goat. 5 grams a day is a great dose. Then the next thing here is creatine, 5 grams a day. I'm not really sure if I even respond to this, but I was ordering from China and I saw it's like really cheap, so I might as well add a little bit of that as well. Potassium. So we are getting slowly the end of the list. Potassium is really important to check, to have a lot of potassium if you want to keep your blood pressure in check and to just also avoid cramps, because a lot of people are deficient in potassium because they eat a lot of salty foods. And when you eat a lot of salt and stuff like that, then your body tries to get rid of the excess salt by just pissing it out, but then you piss out other electrolytes as well. So a lot of people, when they just eat a lot of salt and don't have a lot of potassium, they will just piss out the excess salt or even keep that extra salt as water retention in the body, and they will not have enough potassium to balance it out. So you want more potassium. In my case, it's mostly from the protein chocolate milk that you see the box here. Protein chocolate milk has like 800 milligrams of potassium per one small protein chocolate milk. That's like 350 milliliters. I sometimes even drink 3 of those in a day, so that's already like 2.4 grams of potassium, which is amazing. Sometimes I drink coconut water, and I use potassium salt that has like 60% potassium, 40% sodium, which is great to balance it out. I also often drink the zero sugar Gatorades, which is a good workout drink that also has some sodium, some potassium. And a lot of foods have potassium, so you shouldn't really be worried too much as long as you are adding a lot of potassium through protein shakes that are like dairy based, like all milk products have a ton of potassium, or coconut water, one of those two things, and replacing your salt with potassium salt. Like if you do these 3 things, your potassium is probably going to be high enough and you shouldn't be worried about that. But if you are just like eating a ton of like sauces that are full of salt and you don't have any potassium, then you are just increasing your blood pressure for no reason and keeping your face more bloated. The next thing here is ketoconazole 2% shampoo. So I'm just using this for my hair when I wash my hair approximately twice a week. And it's helping in a few ways. So one way that it helps is it completely kills the yeast that lives on your head that feeds on the oil from your scalp. Especially in my case, since my skin is the oily type, my skin gets oily really fast. Like even now I can see my skin is kind of shiny. Then in that case, if you have a lot of oil, sebum production in the scalp, those kind of yeast feed on that, and that can cause the itchiness, that can cause dandruff, which often happened for me in the past. And you completely destroy that yeast by using this shampoo. And also this shampoo is great because it's a slight anti-androgen on the scalp. Like it can slightly block the androgen receptors on the scalp, which is great for preventing hair loss. But it's not that strong, obviously. Like this is not nearly as strong as just taking finasteride, but it's a pretty good addition. Like it can definitely help a little bit. And I think this is everything that I use right now. We will now get into a few things that I consider for future use and that I have removed. So what am I considering is minoxidil plus derma rolling. I will be doing this for my hair, and I will be doing BPC 157 plus TB 500. I will be experimenting with more peptides in future when I make a bulk order from China. Before that, it's not really worth it to just buy from some source that I have here because it's kind of expensive. And some of the things that I stopped. So why did I stop these things? It's really going to be interesting. So vitamin D3 plus K2, I stopped taking this. So this is a really high dose that's often used by biohackers to increase the natural testosterone. And I personally stopped taking this because this increases the absorption of calcium, which is usually good. But if you take gear, like in my case, you are already getting fried from all the calcium signaling because your central nervous system is so supercharged, it's constantly firing using calcium. So if you have even more calcium absorption, because I already drink like a liter of protein chocolate milk a day, which has insane amounts of calcium. It probably has like 2 grams of calcium that I intake per day, which is already too much calcium. And taking vitamin D3 at a high dose is even going to increase the absorption of that calcium, which I don't want. I have too much calcium, which then makes me cramp up. Then I have cramps. So that's why I stopped taking this, to have less cramps, because now the calcium absorption is less. Other than that, it's a good supplement. So if you aren't drinking a liter of protein chocolate milk a day and having too much calcium, then you can take this supplement. But in my case, I removed it for that reason. The next thing here is silimarin. So this is milk thistle extract. This is a great supplement for the liver, but it's actually not really that strong compared to TUDCA and NAC, and it's not that cheap if you want a good supplement that actually has this amount, because a lot of them just say milk thistle and they don't say how much of silimarin extract it actually has. This one is pretty expensive for the amount of benefit you get, which is not really much. So I just stopped it for that reason. Like financially, it's not that strong for like what you pay for compared to NAC. Like NAC is cheaper and it's better. So like, yeah, that's the only reason I really removed it. The next thing is Accutane. So I was testing Accutane 10 milligrams a day, and honestly, it's been amazing for stopping like how oily my skin is and how oily my scalp is. It's been amazing for that. Like literally 1 week into taking Accutane, my skin completely stopped being oily. It wasn't too dry. It was just normal. It was how I would like my skin to not be oily all the time. But I had to stop taking it because how dry my skin was getting everywhere. It was not that dry, let's say, but my butthole started getting dry as well. And my butthole started feeling like there is constantly like, it just felt so irritated that it was almost hard to walk. It was uncomfortable to walk. So because of that, I had to stop taking it. For some people, this can manifest having dry lips. I sometimes have dry lips, sometimes I don't. It's usually fine. But for some people, it can manifest like on their butthole, like no joke, because butthole is generally a really sensitive part of your body. And if you take Accutane, that will generally start making your skin, it can make your skin more sensitive, especially in the beginning. Accutane can make your skin more sensitive. Like I was noticing, even if I just like rub my skin like this, I can notice the skin is a lot more sensitive on Accutane, which is like a pretty big side effect of Accutane. But it is amazing for stopping the oiliness of your skin and preventing acne, which is great. But since I don't really have any kind of acne, as you can see, I didn't have a huge reason to take it. I just wanted to experiment with it to try to fix the oiliness, which I did fix. But then I got the butthole problem just being so uncomfortable that I just was like, fuck it, I don't really have to take this. And the next thing I stopped taking it, I only took once, is melatonin. Because I tried melatonin to see like if that would improve my sleep quality. It did absolutely nothing. It did nothing. Because I guess people who take melatonin, it could help if you maybe change time zones or you want to change your sleep schedule to earlier or whatever. It could induce sleep. But I don't have issues with that. I can sleep. But the things that I have issues with when taking a lot of androgens is you wake up pretty often. Like you can wake up every hour. Because I'm a light sleeper. I've always been a light sleeper. I've always been waking up pretty often. And on steroids is just like exaggerated. And melatonin doesn't help with that. Melatonin does not help with that in any kind of way. The only thing it can help with is inducing sleep, so making you fall asleep. But I don't really have any issues with that. And taking melatonin absolutely did nothing, except it made it even worse, because melatonin has a pretty short half-life, so it can wear off after a few hours. And I noticed after like 3 or 4 hours after taking it, when I woke up, I couldn't sleep after that because it just wore off and I just couldn't sleep after that. So it's pretty bad. Like it actually made my sleep worse on that day. So I'm not really going to take melatonin again, even though it has many benefits. People take it for like It's a good antioxidant in the brain, which is amazing, but honestly, like I can just take it like NAC, astaxanthin, vitamin C, vitamin E, those antioxidants, and not worry about melatonin that just made my sleep worse. DHA I haven't started yet. I'm not sure why I put it here on this part of the list, but the only reason I haven't started experimenting with DHA is because my estrogen is already like, I'm keeping it on the higher end, but I know where it is approximately. But if I add DHA, that could increase it further, and then I could start getting high estrogen side effects. So I don't really want to experiment with that yet. But yeah, that's 40 minutes. Holy shit, pretty long video. That's the whole protocol. So I started TRT on 20th January this year, and I started with 270 milligrams of testosterone a week. I had most of these supplements already in, not all of them, maybe half of them. And I was just building the list from there, especially when I added Chen. I was starting to add some of these things like tadalafil, like trazodone, like pregnenolone, magnesium L-threonate, acetyl L-carnitine, TUDCA, like a lot of these things. Like for example, if I look at this list, I think I added all of these things when I added Chen. So like you can delete these from the list if I was doing this video like two, three months ago. But yeah, this is the current protocol. I'm updating this protocol pretty often because, like, for example, I will be removing Chen in like 1 week because I just needed it to do a body recomposition. You don't take this forever, you just take it to do a body recomposition. And when I remove the Chen, I will probably remove a bunch of these things. I will probably remove the red yeast rice, I will remove the TUDCA, I will remove the magnesium L-threonate, acetyl L-carnitine, maybe, I will see. Pregnenolone I will probably keep. Trazodone, I will remove trazodone probably. And yeah, I will probably be removing like a bunch of these things when I stop the Chen in like a week. But this is like the peak of my protocol. Like the peak right now that got me to have better blood work than when I was natural, because there is a lot of these things that are like good for cholesterol, good for the liver, good for like what. The only thing here that I maybe didn't cover is like the kidneys. Like there is nothing here that's really like good for the kidneys. But generally, if you just keep your potassium high, keep your taurine, keep these things that can keep your blood pressure in check, that's good for your kidneys. Because the only way for your kidneys to really suffer here is if your blood pressure is really high and if your blood is really thick. But since I really prevented that, like the omega-3 keeping the blood flow really smooth, and the tadalafil keeping the blood flow good as well, like these things will just help the kidneys further, especially the potassium, the electrolyte balance. So generally, like everything is covered pretty much in this protocol. Especially I was looking out for like the looks things, like about the looks maximum, because I don't wanna ruin my looks. Like what's the point of having bigger shoulders if my skin is gonna be fucked up, or if I'm gonna look 40 years old, or if I'm gonna go bald? Like what's the point? So I don't want to have any of those kind of side effects, and I showed you here how I prevented all of them. So I hope the video was really valuable. I'm not a doctor, this is not medical advice, don't listen to me, whatever. But yeah, I think this is pretty much like the pinnacle of a superhuman protocol that you can make. This is not cheap. If you combine the prices of all of these things, about 300 euros a month, I think. Like it's not cheap at all if you want to run all of these things together that you can see on this list, but it's worth it if you ask me. Like I turned into a superhuman for $300 a month. Come on, like there is people spending 300 a month on drinking, on cigarettes, on like a bullshit car payment, or like some bullshit rent or whatever. I'm spending 300 a month to be a superhuman in every way possible. Looking like a superhuman, feeling like a superhuman, motivated like a superhuman, fucking like a superhuman, everything like a superhuman. Like I think it's worth it for 300 a month, because you can realistically remove a bunch of these things and bring it down to like 200 a month, especially if you buy like the retatrutide bulk from China. That would save you a lot of money. If you do things like that, you can definitely bring the cost down to maybe 200 a month, and in that case it's even better value. So preventing all the side effects, saving all the health for a few extra $100, that because if you don't take any of these supplements and you just take the testosterone and the Chen, you can get the same gains, the exact same gains, but then my skin would maybe look fucked up, maybe I would have acne, maybe I would have some hair loss. So is it worth it? I think it's worth to pay the extra money and have the perfect blood work, the perfect health, to look perfect, to not have any kind of like side effects, issues, whatever bullshit. So if you ask me, it's really worth it to pay that extra money, to save that extra money. So if you don't have currently the money to start and do all of these things, and you just have the $30 to buy testosterone, I would urge you to wait. to wait until you have money for at least a few of these supplements like omega-3, like that's non-negotiable. Like you have to take high dose omega-3. Like what else? NAC, like non-negotiable. You have to take NAC. What else here? P5P, if your prolactin is high, you should take it for sure. Some of the other things here, Tudka, if you are taking Anavar, you have to take it. It's not cheap, but it's non-negotiable. Like I'm saying not cheap because at this dose it's pretty cheap, but if you take 500 or 1,000 milligrams a day, it's really expensive. So it's a non-negotiable, especially considering Anavar is also not cheap. So sometimes you do need money to make a really good superhuman protocol, but it's worth it. It is what it is. A lot of things in this life that are worth it take some money, so you can't really complain about that. Like as you can see on these pictures, like on the left picture is me with a pump, and the shoulder veins are crazy. Like holy shit! Like I'm just so impressed when I see a picture like this. It's just insane how much of a transformation I made in a few months. And on the right you see a picture without any pump, like just how I look naturally, like similar to now on camera, like just how I look day to day. And I will also be getting gyno surgery in a few weeks, I think, as well. So I will also fix that. And yeah, that's been pretty much it for this video. Obviously, if you want me to make a protocol for you personally, I can do that. You can message me on Instagram and I can make a personal protocol for you. Obviously, this is not free. So if you just want free value, you can just take this video and make it yourself and like use AI or whatever. But if you want my help to make a protocol specifically for you and your goals, because they may differ, maybe you have some different priorities, some different goals, maybe you want strength or you want more size, because I was here going more for the defined look. Maybe you want to be huge. So in case you want to have different goals, maybe want me to make you a protocol, or maybe you are an entrepreneur, maybe you are just want to be more productive, I can make you a protocol. So just DM me on Instagram and we can talk through it. Other than that, this has been it for this video, and see you in the next video, guys.